In the weeks following Cari Farver's disappearance, police in 2 different states are trying to find her, but for 2 totally different reasons.
The police in Iowa are looking for Cari Farver as a missing person.
But less than 5 miles away in Nebraska, just across the Missouri River, police are looking for Cari Farver as a stalker, somebody that is harassing Dave Krupa and Liz Gollier.
They're all trying to find Cari Farver.
The best clue so far is Dave's discovery of Cari's Ford Explorer. The police searched the car and they found no fingerprints except for one.
There was a mint container found in the car that had one perfect fingerprint on it.
But that fingerprint didn't match Cari, and it didn't match anyone in the FBI's national database. So that lead, so far, is a bust.
But Cari's mother, Nancy, doesn't need evidence. She knew in her gut that something had happened to her child.
I'd lay awake at night because every kind of scenario was going through your head as to what had happened.
After Cari's father, Dennis, died, Nancy Raney had a dream. And he appeared in that dream.
I had a very, very, very vivid dream that Dennis had come to me. And he said, "Nancy, don't worry about her. She's with me." But of course, I was always kept hoping that we'd find her, that she was okay.
And then about 5 months after Cari disappeared, Nancy gets this astounding phone call.
I get a call from a gentleman that says that Cari is at this Siena Francis homeless shelter and that she wants you to come pick her up. My heart just started. I was shaking, and I thought, oh my God, we're gonna bring her home, she's gonna be okay.
This was the first big lead they had since the finding of Cari's vehicle that they thought might lead to finding her.
So we go over there and we meet up with the investigator.
The police had met them there, and they asked Nancy to wait in the car while they went in. And they came back out a few minutes later shaking their heads. Cari wasn't there.
It was such a letdown, and I was just devastated. I get this raising my hopes, and then it's dashed again.
Cari's friend Amber also got a message from Cari saying that she finally wants to come home.
She said, "Hey, I made a really big mistake, and I took off for a while, and I'm ready to come home now." And I was like, "I'm here. Let's get you home." I could never get her to say that she would meet me anywhere.
Cari's son Max is losing hope, but just in case, he reached out to his mom on Facebook.
All it said was hi, and she immediately wrote him back, "Hey little man, how are you?" He asked her to answer 3 questions to prove that it was really her. What his middle name was, what the name of their first boxer was, and what his best friend's name was. And she never responded to that message.
Then Cari posts on Facebook, "I've answered enough questions to prove myself. I'm not missing, I just don't want to come home right now."
Meanwhile, the stalking of Dave Krupa and Liz Gollier has been escalating.
As the months went on, he'd received thousands of texts and emails threatening him.
The messages said things like, "I hate you so much, I want to drive a knife through your heart. Hey, Lou, so am I ruining your life yet?"
Dave and Liz referred to Cari as Crazy Cari.
That was what we would say, Crazy Cari. Oh, Crazy Cari this. Oh, I got another email from Crazy Cari.
The trauma that they were both going through brought them back together, and they started dating again.
Rude, hostile messages come into both of their phones as they're both together.
It was actually extremely common for us to be hanging out, and both of our phones would start blowing up with text messages and emails from Cari.
He had to admit he was impressed by Liz's loyalty. She was pissed at him for inviting a lunatic into their lives, but she was still there.
And as this is going on, Dave is becoming almost numb to all this crazy stuff that's happening almost every day.
I get an email, and it's a picture of what looks like Liz tied up in the trunk of a car. And it says, I have Liz tied up in the trunk of the car, and you need to call her right now and tell her you hate her. She's a whore, otherwise I'm gonna kill her. I call Liz, and I say, hey, you're not tied up in the trunk of a car, are you? No, haha. All right, good night. And at that point, it was just another day. It just wasn't even shocking anymore.
Cari even emailed Dave with a link to an obituary for Liz.
In it, she writes, I didn't know her very well, except that she was a whore and a man-stealer. Thank God she is gone.
But as crazy as a fake obituary is, things get even creepier and deadlier.
I get a call from Liz, frantic, freaking out. My house is on fire. Somebody's burned my house down. So I go over to Liz's house, and there's fire trucks all up and down the street, and there's firemen walking around, and there's hoses, and they're pouring water into place.
Luckily, her children were not home, but many of her belongings were still there, including 2 dogs, a cat, and a snake, and they all were killed in this fire.
There is audio of the officer at the scene talking to Liz about the fire.
From what I've seen so far, looking inside, it's pretty obvious this is an intentionally set fire.
The guy that I'm seeing, he has a girlfriend that he dated for 2 weeks, and she's been stalking me since November.
Do you know her name?
It's Cari, C-A-R-I. But she has made threats towards me and my kids. She would kept texting me telling me she wanted to kill me and my kids. You would think they were married as much as she's stalking me. She won't leave me alone. She will not go away. I just wish she would go away.
I felt very bad for Liz because I felt like I brought this crazy person into her life.
2 months later, Cari strikes again.
Dave's auto shop is vandalized with a message for everyone to see. Dave beats women in fluorescent orange spray paint.
I tripped out. I mean, this is my job, and this is on a main street.
Dave became a nervous wreck. He purchased a gun. He was always on edge.
It makes you paranoid. You can't rest, you can't relax. You're always wondering when something else is gonna happen and if it's gonna escalate.
We were in bed, getting ready to go to sleep, and the next thing I hear sounded like a gunshot.
Hi everyone, George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel, and don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.